SF is an institution, a government bureaucracy. It is filled with people who are hard to fire. Eliminate the X-ray program. There, I said it. There are hundreds of hours wasted, millions of dollars misallocated, and extremely motivated and talented young men's motivations shattered.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and we got a spicy one for you today. Now, we're going to be going over a video today that a bunch of my viewers have sent me. And anytime a bunch of viewers send me a video, right after it comes out, it's usually either very controversial or very good. And this video we're going to look at today is both. Now, this video is coming from a new YouTube channel from a former Green Beret, Zach Masick from the Dead Warrior Society. Okay, so first thing I want you to do, full video right there. Head on over to his channel, give him a subscribe. We got to support our own, and also his content seems very, very good from what I've seen so far. So shout out to you, Zach. Good luck on your journey. Now, what we're just going to do is just jump in. I'm going to give commentary as we go, all right? So if you want to watch the whole video in its entirety first, head on over and do that, all right? Because I'm just going to interject as we make our way through the video. Now, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely helps the channel. No ads today. Just going to pitch my own stuff, guys. Patreon, if you want to support the channel and you want a bunch of behind the scenes exclusive content, firearms content, fitness content, stories, stuff you won't get anywhere else, give us a follow on Patreon. And also, merch is completely restocked. Grab yourself some Munchkin merch. Now let's jump into the video, and we're just going to go through this thing and decide whether we agree or disagree. All right, so here we go, guys. Let's get started.
That it's important, if we are going to be honest brokers about this whole conversation, that we discuss this and we put it out there, because we have to admit there's a problem, because there is a problem. There's an issue. And if we're not honest enough to talk about it and have that intellectual honesty to highlight the reality of the situation within the unit, these problems are just going to continue to compound and just get worse and worse. So I'm going to read this to you. It's going to be a short episode today. And like I said, I just want to sort of continue this conversation out there, sort of in the ecosystem, not necessarily within the confines of the show or this podcast.
And that's what we're doing right here, right? Is just expanding on that conversation. Is this a huge problem? Let's get to it.
Okay, so here we go. Quote, I went through the Q course between 2002 and 2004, retired, still involved, very proud of my time and wouldn't change it for anything. Wish I could do it over. As an instructor out there in the SWIC ecosystem, and for those of you who don't know, SWIC is just like kind of the Q course, I still get to live vicariously through the naive. That said, God, I started to hate it. For years, it felt as if we were rudderless. The administrative workload was very high. I remember multiple inventories each month. I recall delaying or canceling training for change of command ceremonies.
This is 100%. Inventories, change of command, inventories, change of command ceremonies. Guys, I had to miss one of my best friends and my teammates' funerals to do a change of command inventory at one point. So yes, this is a thing that drives everyone absolutely crazy from the administration side.
I remember risk assessments not having their T's crossed or their I's dotted, which caused problems with getting the team out to train. I remember being
So risk assessments are a thing. You have to fill out these big packets before you do any training. You go to the range, you go do dive training, halo training, and sometimes it's obnoxious how much you got to do, and he's not wrong when he talks about if you had a little letter misspelled or a capitalization wrong, they would kick back your entire range or your entire risk assessment to get those errors fixed before they would push it up to the commander to get you out to do your training to go to war. 100% true.
Unable to drive from point A to point B without a con-op. I remember the threats of tab revocation if we couldn't sustain our language rating, a skill that
100%. Sustaining language rating, absolute nightmare, guys. We were supposed to every year do an OPI or DLPT. This is where you retest out on your language. We're supposed to be given a language refresher time, usually 3 weeks, so that we can upkeep it. I did one of those in my 7.5 years on a team. That's the only opportunity I was given. Other than that, it was like, well, figure it out. And he's not wrong. Then they would threaten you, kick you out of the unit if you couldn't uphold a language when you have 1,000 other jobs that you're trying to upkeep your skills on too, and you're given no time and opportunity. And it's go do it on your own time, which is like I should probably be spending time with my family in my own time.
That is barely, if ever, used. It was distraction after distraction. I understand that you need to maintain order and discipline. I recognize there will be areas where we need to self-sustain our organization. We must take responsibility for our own equipment, kit, vehicles, etc. However, the payoff never seems to be there. It feels like we are spending a lot of time shining our boots, but barely ever wearing them. The force grew too large. It became overly dependent on and anchored to the regular army.
So this did happen in a few different points, right? When we were trying to, especially he talked about the gentleman talking was in from 2000 or started in 2002. There was definitely bloat, right? We needed as many guys as possible. Global war on terror is ramping up. And then you hit points of time where during the Obama drawdown, where we drew it way down and it's gone back and forth and sort of overbloated and brought back down. Where you look at now, technically recruitment is way too low for the numbers we need to meet because we have 4 battalions for group. But the argument kind of is, do we need that many guys to begin with?
The force became too political and, in certain instances, politically correct. On the dude level, it turned into a job that you were either trapped because you were too far along to give up the pension, or dudes became so disgruntled that they decided to take their chances and got out.
That comment is crazy accurate. And I can tell you right now, in my generation of guys, everybody's sort of on that teetering moment of either having just retired or about to retire. And I would say 99% of my buddies, former teammates, are absolutely burned out. They are literally just hanging on for dear life just to be able to get that DOD retirement pension. Not hate the job necessarily, but they just, again, he's going to get into more of the reasons why here everybody's so burned out. But no doubt, there's most guys either throw their hands up and said F it, or, again, they've just basically hung on for dear life.
I am still at the production line. The newcomers here grew up seeing the highlights and the cool aspects, which led them to believe that becoming a Green Beret means free falling behind enemy lines with NVGs and taking out terrorists. Unfortunately, the reality is quite different. After enduring the Q course for 18 months to 3 years, you finally get assigned to a group. Some will have to fill B team roles as soon as they arrive. At that point, you'll often find yourself navigating a military bureaucracy that values appearances on paper over actual performance.
All right, so what he's talking about here is basically, you go through 2.5, 3 years of Q course. You've heard all the cool guy stories. This is current, right? You get to a team and you're not really doing anything other than shining, painting rocks and going on J sets. Now, this hasn't always been the case. Like when I got out of the Q course, it was the height of the global war on terror still. I went straight to a team, didn't go to a B team, and straight to a deployment very soon after that. So that dream was there for a while, but I can tell you absolutely right now, it's not great. Like, what do you really have to look forward to in SF that's not just the same in the conventional military right now? I don't know, guys. Not a lot.
Dare anyone who questions this to look at SF's current retention rates. There are now special forces companies with ghost teams. Therefore, I won't accept any claims from...
Okay, this is important. I haven't wanted to talk about this before. When he's talking about ghost teams and retention, okay, yes, retention is horrible, guys. I had buddies in first group team sergeants that had 3 to 4 guys on their ODAs, were still being forced to be operational on missions they couldn't even complete with the numbers, and commander who refused to draw down the number of ODAs, right? So if I've got 5 guys on one team, 6 guys on another team, like just whop teams off and make full teams, refuse to do it, which then again, you're putting all of that operational burden that should be on 12 guys on 5 guys who are already burned out, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So 100% true. This is something nobody wants to talk about, but is a huge, huge problem. When he talks about retention, I've said it before, just this year, we lost over 600 Green Berets and replaced them with less than 300. And I can tell you guys, if you don't think recruitment's a massive issue, head on over and check out the fact that Special Forces Assessment and Selection, the school, just started their own YouTube channel. That is insanely unheard of, right? We're going to do a video on that probably on Friday, but absolutely right when he's talking about retention and recruitment. I mean, I can't really understate about how bad it is right now.
From officers, warrants, or misguided sergeant majors that things are improving. They are not. Guys go through.
Yeah, talking to all my buddies who are, again, team sergeants or even sergeant majors at this point, I haven't heard a single one of them. Every single one of them has told me it's got exponentially worse since I got out in 2024.
Through the Q course rite of passage, only to be extremely disappointed as the job turns out to be nothing like what any of the recruiting ads said it would be. Solutions: downsize, modernize the Q course, and stop allowing politics to influence change. Eliminate the X-ray program. There, I said it.
Okay, so 18 X-ray program. I've agreed with most of the videos so far. I think this is a terrible, terrible take. First of all, 18 X-ray program has been around. We talked about it with Jim Day, Mac v. SOG. Well, but he was basically so was my dad in Vietnam. 18 X-ray program is in different forms, has been named different things, has been around since Vietnam. And it's been a huge, huge portion of dudes coming through. So would just be my pushback on this. If we get rid of the 18 X-ray program, which right now, let me be clear, is actually, and I have buddies who are instructors over at SWIC right now, probably the vast majority of candidates are 18 X-rays. We already don't have anybody joining the Q course, and now you want to take away 70% of the guys who actually are trying out? That doesn't make any sense. So I know a lot of the older guys hate the 18 X-ray program, which doesn't really make sense because, again, it's been around since Vietnam. But the fact is, if you're hurting on recruitment, you don't get rid of the program that brings in you in the most recruits, right?
You don't need an X-ray program any longer. You need a
wrong, right? Because guys from the regular Army aren't joining SF. It's 18 X-rays that are. So again, that's just objectively wrong. But again, video is still good so far.
Mature force. And if that results in fewer graduates from the Q course, so be it. Be willing to take on more risk. Build relationships with JSOC, federal law enforcement agencies, and other three-letter agencies. Require that every 18 series guy, meaning every Green Beret, has a TS or top secret level clearance so that Green Berets can improve their interlopability with higher tier agencies.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people assume that just every Green Beret has a top secret. No, every Green Beret has a secret clearance, right? There's different tiers. You have secret and then top secret. And most Green Berets, unless they want to be an 18 Fox, don't get a top secret clearance.
Permit the extension of leadership tenures. What rationale exists for imposing a duration of 2 to 3 years for team sergeants and team leaders? It is illogical for a team to expend significant effort in a particular area of operation or AO, cultivating intricate relationships only to jeopardize these developments through the reassignment of personnel.
This is a super interesting topic. This isn't SF specific where he's talking about every 2-3 years. Yes, a team sergeant typically only does 2 to 3 years on an ODA. A team leader typically only 2. But this is kind of the way it is across the rest of the Army. In fact, in a lot of conventional units, it's actually faster than that. There's a lot of arguments both ways about why it's good or why it's not. Okay, so let's say you removed that 2-year or 3-year limit on your team sergeant and you kept him there for 5, 6, 7 years. Okay, well, that creates a massive backlog of senior E7s who are in the hopper to become team sergeants. Okay, so you got to continue the chain up in the military. It's the only way it functions. Otherwise, you'd get this giant bloat of sort of senior level dudes that never make it to team sergeant. Okay, so probably not the best answer, but you know, if we don't have enough guys, maybe it makes sense. That one's kind of wishy-washy for me.
E8s and above should be required to take courses in talent management. There is a tendency for sergeant majors to be extremely poor talent managers. It's futile.
100%. When you're talking about, going through an MBA program after I got out, after being a senior leader in the military, how much I've learned sort of the civilian side of things about things like talent management and stuff like that, that yes, we definitely, not all of them, we definitely have some very, very good sergeant majors, but a lot of them who are, have really no idea what they're doing when it comes to actual management in that sense.
It doesn't matter. SF is an institution, a government bureaucracy. It is filled with people who are hard to fire. There are hundreds of hours wasted, millions of dollars misallocated, and extremely motivated and talented young men's motivations shattered.
So when he talks about full of dudes impossible to fire, this is the god-awful truth about SF. I don't know what you have to do to get kicked out of the unit. I mean, enough DUIs maybe, but just being like a shit performer and a shit dude, we won't fire you. We'll send you over to the arms room, right? Or send you somewhere to up to the S3 air shop or whatever. And then what happens is these dudes get recycled somewhere else, back onto another team, back into a leadership position, because God, there are some horrible leaders that this happens to too. And yes, it's just a huge negative on it. Instead of just being honest, saying this dude doesn't have a place here, like Ranger Battalion will do to you, we will not get rid of our own. 100% true.
No matter how many times we make recommendations or how many times sergeant majors and commanders hear them about ways to improve things, it never happens.
Typically true.
You just have to control what you can control. For those of you going to SF, listen up. If you are still on active duty or in the National Guard, go try out for one of the Special Mission Units or SMUs. Because if there is anyone doing true special operations stuff, it's JSOC. Outside of JSOC, the rest of special operations is just the regular Army.
Right now in 2025, this is definitely true. Obviously, this wasn't the case during the height of the global war on terror. The stuff we were doing in SF, super cool, flashy, all that type of stuff. But now, yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of buddies over in JSOC right now, and like they tell me, the grass is greener over here. They actually are out doing operational things. Now, again, SF teams technically are doing operational things, but it's basically just FID missions, going to train, the Thai Special Forces or the Taiwan Special Forces for first group, Filipino Special Forces, whoever, right? That's about all you're doing.
We delude ourselves by comparing the contemporary Green Beret to that of an OSS operative, of a member of MACV-SOG. But that's not who we are right now. We are an inventory taking.
If you want to see the stark difference of that, we just did an episode on the Anti-Hero podcast with my close friend Jim Day, who's MACV-SOG operator, and you can see the massive difference. And even me and Brent Tucker talking to him and us, and just shock about the things they were doing compared to us.
Change of command making placeholder with green hats. But God knows, I wish I could do it over again with what I know now. DOL, Deo Presto Liber.
So I love that. I love the start of his. I know a lot of people can't, unless you've done the job, you can't really fathom this, because he said at the start of the video that he absolutely loves his job. He loved the regiment and he loved being in Army Special Forces. If he could do it over again, would he? Absolutely. And then he ends the video after all of that rant with the same thing. Okay. Now, again, if you want to watch the rest of that video, make sure you go check out Zach's video, but I'll just talk a little bit more here. It's a crazy thing to think about, because I feel the exact same way. As I went through that video, I just basically almost 99% of it down the line, I could tell you 100% truth, right? There's really no arguing against it. Every dude you talk to is going to say true, 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 true. However, almost every dude you talk to will also say that they absolutely love the regiment, they love the job, and they love their time in Special Forces, myself included. It's a weird juxtaposition. Try to understand, like, how can this job be such a shit show nightmare and such a great job at the same time? Hard to really explain, because yes, there is so much bureaucracy and bloat and administrative bullshit in the job. But there also is a bunch of awesome stuff, right? The fact that your job is to be on a team with 11 of your boys, and yes, you got to do all the bullshit, but then also going out and, jumping out of planes at 18,000 feet in the middle of the night with oxygen on and doing like all these super cool things. Now, it used to be a lot cooler back when, we were doing things operationally at war, technically, but again, there's still a lot of really good parts of the job. So like he said, would I do it over again? Yes, but also knowing what I know now definitely would benefit. So yeah, guys, I thought this was a really cool video, a really honest video. I've talked a lot about a lot of these things already on the channel, in various videos, But yeah, guys, that's just something you should understand if you're a young dude who's looking to go, like coming from the 82nd Airborne, and you think, oh, it's going to be all the administration's going to go away and all the BS and the formations and all the big army stuff. Like he said, it's all still there, guys. I mean, it's just like the grass is, instead of being like shit brown, it's piss yellow. Right. So that's kind of the way to look at it. Right. But again, I love SF. And also, you know, last thing, again, make sure you go over and check out Dead Warrior Society on YouTube and support his channel as well. So yeah, I hope you guys found this one as interesting as I did. And I'm sure this discussion is going to, you know, get further into the other creators, see what they have to say. But as for now, guys, I would say, yeah, that was a pretty good look into what life in the regiment is currently like, unfortunately. All right, guys. Take care.